Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I am the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network. Today's show is Authentic Achievements. And if you're joining us for the first time, wherever you are in the world, welcome. We're thrilled to have you. We have 28 live broadcasts each and every week. My co-host KIM-ADELE is not here. She has the day off. So I am thrilled to welcome our guest, and our topic is so relevant for all of you entrepreneurs out there, including me. I've got two businesses. How can we learn to spend less time in our business and more time on our business? Meaning we're sort of like the eagle flying over our business instead of heads down like the ostrich in the sand, always working, doing tasks. How can we streamline things? We have an award-winning serial entrepreneur who is actually on a 6-week road trip away from his business, helping other entrepreneurs. Can you imagine that, leaving your business for 6 weeks? What would happen with the skyfall? Would it still be there when you got back? Let's find out. Joining us from somewhere outside of Spain is Alexis Kingsbury. Welcome.
Hi there, Dr. JACALYN. It's good to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I am thrilled with this topic because I'll tell you, I'm someone who spends 7 days a week working in my business. I started them, the USA Global TV Radio. We've been streaming for 6 months. Actually, no, it's August, 8 months. I apologize. And Dr. JACALYN I've had for about 2 years. So anyway, I'm all ears on this topic. So tell us how you got your start, and then we'll go on from there.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur now in various forms for about probably 20 years, but the businesses that I'm running now have been going for about 12 years. And one of the things I've seen as I've kind of grown the businesses and through other peers, other entrepreneurs that I've worked with, is how easy it is to end up stuck in the business. And so, as you say, like, you end up stuck in it rather than working on it, and that's a really hard place to be, because often it means that you've got difficult working hours, or maybe you haven't taken a holiday for multiple years. It's not great for relationships. It's not great for your health, and ultimately it's not what you set out to do when you first started the business. So what I've found is that through putting the right mechanisms in place, the right structures, documenting processes, creating a great way in which you can onboard staff and get them up to speed, it can change everything. And I'm experiencing that myself. As you mentioned, I'm just outside of Barcelona at the moment on a 6-week road trip, which started off in the UK, down through France and so on, with my wife and kids and a moto, and it's been amazing. But I wouldn't be able to do it if I wasn't able to spend multiple weeks outside of my business without any issues.
Fabulous. So interesting. You know, the first thing that pops into my mind is, as entrepreneurs, we feel like, I'll just speak for myself, that I have to have my hands on everything, that I have to be in control of everything, because as soon as I start delegating to other people, people make mistakes, people let you down. So when did you realize in your businesses that you had the ability to bring on other people and you felt safe doing that?
Yeah, so the really funny thing is, I started off in the same place. I was a massive control freak, and shared openly with my team that was kind of my biggest weakness, and I was struggling to delegate. And so the first big mistake I made was then to say, well, to avoid being a control freak, I'll hire really clever, experienced people who will come in, and I'll just, I won't micromanage them. I'll just let them get on with it. And the problem is that I didn't give them the processes, the guidance, the training, the collateral to do a good job. And so then I went into the classic spiral that I think a lot of entrepreneurs end up doing, which is that you hire someone, it doesn't work out, you don't get the results. And then you go, oh, well, you see, this is exactly what I was worried about. I've done all that. I spent all that time training them, months and months and months. They don't get the results. I would have been better doing it myself. And of course, that's the lesson to learn there is not don't hire. It's hire well and set them up for success. And that's what I was failing to do. I was actually doing a good job of the recruitment side. I was bringing the right people in, but I was doing a really bad job of setting them up for success. I wasn't giving them the processes. And so when we changed the approach to be really specific about here's the process of how, for example, sales, here's the sales process that we know works, here's the information about our products and services, and made it really easy for them to use, to be able to learn from and follow by using a checklist. Suddenly then we started to get the results. And I think that's the key, is that, as you say, like you want to have your hands all over it. You want to have control, but at the same time, you want to let go of it. So how do you get the balance right? And I think the key is that tell them how you want it done. So have the documentation, give them the training, and then have measures to measure the outputs. So measuring what percentage of leads are being converted, or how many sales conversations that happen per week, or all those sorts of things that matter for that particular role, measure those and measure an output. And if they're not hitting your expectations in line with what perhaps you were achieving yourself or whatever, then you can look at it. Is it because they're not following the process? Is it because they are following the process but there aren't enough leads? Is it because they're following the process, there are enough leads, but they're lacking some skill or whatever? And you can diagnose it to either identify they're not the right fit, or that you need to improve the process, or there's some other issue. I think the mistake, as I say, the mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make is they're one thing or the other. It's either, oh, I'm going to micromanage it and be all over it and basically do it for them, or I'm just going to throw it at them and see what sticks. And neither approach work well.
Brilliant. I want to talk a little bit about the training and the processes. So for me, an obstacle seems to be I don't have the time to put the training together or to develop the processes. And so that's where you're going to come in and help.
Yeah, it's a common challenge, right? Like, it reminds me of the quote from the Stephen Covey book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where you're walking through a forest and you come across someone who's feverishly trying to saw down a tree, and you say, like, you look exhausted. What's going on? It's like, oh, well, I've been trying to saw down this tree for 5 hours. And so, well, have you tried sharpening the saw? And I said, well, don't be ridiculous. I've got to. I can't be spending time sharpening the saw. I've got this tree to chop down. And I think that's the mistake that I think we can fall with, a trap we can fall into. We can be so busy with sales conversations. We've got everything's going great. We've got these leads coming in. So you're constantly on sales. And as a result, you're not then thinking, actually, I need to take a step back. Like, being busy with sales is great, but this should be a flag to tell me that this is time to be hiring and putting a salesperson in. And I think the problem is that most people's experience of hiring is that it's almost like you have to pause everything, stop doing sales conversations, spend a load of time recruiting, then spend a load of time retraining, and then you hope that the sales conversations will still be there afterwards. Although you beg the question, like, well, if I'm just paying them to do the sales conversations, well, I could be doing them. And of course, it's like, that misses the point. That's the equivalent of the thinking that I just need to keep on soaring. Instead, what you can do is create the processes, the guidance, what we'd call the role onboarding, to give someone the best chance of coming in, doing a really good job, picking up those sales conversations as quickly as possible. Like, I hired a couple of people on the same day in November last year. And I was stacked up with speaking at events, podcast interviews, customer conversations, partner conversations, and so on. But the great thing was I was able to bring them in, get them trained up, and able to have customer conversations and be delivering consulting support to customers. And total time that I spent with these 2 people over a 7-day period was 1.5 hours. That was it. I was still able to carry on doing everything else, and they were able to get set up for success, and they get amazing they then got amazing feedback from the customers. And I think that's the problem, is that people need to take that step, to take a step back and say, no, I am going to carve out this time. I am going to I'm going to sharpen the saw. I'm going to put in place what the things that I need. That means over time I get more time back and I can build the business and so on. But it is a tricky switch to flick. I remember talking to one business owner who said, Alexis, I definitely need this. I need this. I need software. It's AirManual is a software for documenting, process, and onboarding, which is one of our software products. I need this, but I just don't know where to start, and I just don't feel like I have the time. And I said, well, where are you spending the time at the moment? And he said, I'm spending 3 hours a day creating quotes for customers, price quotes. And he said, I know. I probably need to just document it. It'd probably take me 8 hours, which would be worth it after 3 days because it's 3 hours a day. But I just haven't found the time. And I said, well, we've got 45 minutes left of this call. Let's see what we can do. And we documented the entire process in 45 minutes. And in a follow-up call, we handed it over to his team, which means that by the third call, an impact review call, he was saved 3 hours a day in his business, 15 hours per week in his business, saved like that. And one of my favorite bits was when I said, well, is that the best bit? The time saved. He said, no, the best bit is that customers now get quotes in minutes or hours rather than days or weeks, which of course has a huge impact on the business as well. And I think that's the mental barrier we need to overcome as entrepreneurs, is not fall into the trap of just being busy. You have to carve out that time, even if you just put 2 hours a week aside to do it. It's a bit like if you want to get fit and you're struggling, a personal trainer will do it. Get 1 hour in the diary with a personal trainer per week, and you'll get there as long as you turn up. And that's one of the reasons why we now offer calls to customers to kind of provide them that accountability and support and so on. Because sometimes it's just hard. You just feel so busy. So it's tough, but it requires that shift in mindset and taking that action.
You certainly have my attention. I feel like you were sent my way for a reason. So let's just walk through one of the challenges that I have, and maybe you can tell me
Sure.
how we could look at this. So, for example, we have 28 shows a week. That means that I have to go on all the social media platforms after the shows are over, and I've got to make any changes, and then I've got to set up all the shows for the next week. So that will take me all day Sunday. So I'm spending
Yeah.
literally probably 8 hours cleaning up from the last week and getting ready for the next week. And has nothing to do with my other business, my books that I'm writing, my song that I'm producing.
Yeah.
And as people said to me, you just have to automate it and hire an intern or something. And I'm thinking, I don't know, what if they mess up the channel? But I'm ready to do it. So how do we work together? What does that look like?
Yeah, sure. So if I look at it as if a member of my team, one of my consultants was be speaking to, what we would do is we'd say, okay, so let's first define an area that's taking up time. And as you say, like scheduling those social media posts over the course of a whole Sunday. Brilliant. Perfect. We can save your Sunday. What an amazing thing for us to do. So then we would define, okay, so what are the specific responsibilities, the activities that need to happen? So it might be creating the post, it might be scheduling the post, it might be uploading the asset that gets linked. There'll be a series of things that need to happen. So we'd do that at a high level. And then obviously where you can automate, that's great. But in my experience, automation only goes so far. There's always some bits around the edges that you can't perfectly automate, or when something goes wrong, like it needs a human. And so you're right, you probably need an intern or some kind of contractor. And and when we talk about team and onboarding new joiners and so on, we don't mean like full-time employees all the time. It's just anyone that's supporting your activities. So a virtual assistant, a contractor, an intern, whatever it is. But then what you need to do to set them up for success is provide them here's the steps that we do. And so with a member, like if you're working with a member of our team, we'd literally go through and say, okay, so what's the first thing that you'd need to do in this? And you might say, okay, well, yeah, first I need to draft the post. Okay, how would you draft the post? Where's that information coming from? Oh, well, it's based on the guest, or it's based on the transcript of the video, whatever. And so you'd go through to identify, what are you actually doing to produce the in this case scheduling those posts. And what's interesting is often we find on those conversations the business owner, the individual will identify live ways that they can improve that process. So they go, yeah, actually that bit does take a long time, really I should do it this. And instantly, even if they didn't pass it to someone else, they're saving time because they're bedding in these improvements in that process. And so that's what we'd do, is we'd literally document it out as a simple checklist with detail where needed, where you can dive, so that the person following it can dive in and follow the steps and tick off as they go along. And you mentioned around like you'd be worried, what if they get it wrong and so on. So you just include a check. You could include some checks and review points to make sure that doesn't happen. And it might be that initially you have lots of reviews. I remember with the customer I mentioned with the doing price quotes, we had a couple of review points, and then based on an amount of how big the quote was, it had to go to head of sales or the owner of the business. But of course, over time, as the sales team, and the account management team got more comfortable, more accurate with doing quotes, they're able to increase the amount at which it needed the business owner's approval and reduce the amount of approvals. And so you do the same, right? You'd start off by having quite a few reviews or an in-depth review before anything's posted. But then over time, once you identify, oh, here's the common mistakes, okay, let me improve the process so that doesn't happen again. So for example, if it's common that the link is broken because they forget to put the S in HTTP or whatever, you can put that in the process. You could have a step that's like, check that you have got the link correct with this, And then that means that you don't get that mistake again, which means that it reduces the need for a review, which means over time you can get to a point where you might go, you know what, I don't need to review every single one. If a mistake happens down the line and I spot it, I will then review the process with them and identify how to avoid that mistake in future. But you can build up that confidence. You don't need to go from hands all over it to completely abdicating responsibility.
Woo, I love it. Fabulous. I'm excited to discuss more and also to talk about Spidergap and AirManual, but we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. Stay with us. We have lots more to discuss.
Take a moment.
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 So I've had the privilege of photographing some incredible people over the years, and during each shoot I've asked the subject to close their eyes and take themselves to a peaceful place just for a few seconds. I've found that this really helps to refresh the energy between the camera and the subject. They had an energy that was quite special and quite different from the rest of the shoot. The collection grew, and now it feels the right time to use it for something good. I think it'd be amazing if we could help to raise awareness and involve people in the discussion about mental health. So what we're asking to do is for everyone to upload their own self-portraits. All of these portraits will become part of a massive artwork. I'm really excited to see this project go from hundreds of pictures to thousands of pictures. Essentially, an ever-evolving artwork that says we're all in this together.
Close your eyes and take a moment.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diane Floyd Bames' Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, 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 kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at dianefloydbame.com.
Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio. Thank you so much to our sponsors. If you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, please do reach out. Go over to usaglobaltv.com. Contact us. Okay, back to our show today, Authentic Achievements. We are talking about a very fascinating and pertinent subject. How can we spend less time in our business and more time on our business, taking a step back and looking at it from a strategic perspective as opposed to tactical? With us is Alexis Kingsbury. He is a serial entrepreneur who has been able to take 6 weeks off from his business so that he can go tour and help other entrepreneurs. He's helping me today. I'm sure he can help you as well. Let's bring him back. Hello, welcome.
Hi there.
Hi. So this is really such an important topic for so many people around the world. So I'd love to have you share with us what you're doing specifically at Spidergap and AirManual.
Yeah, sure. So Spidergap was our first software business. Myself and my co-founder Paddy, when we started a business together, initially taking what we had learned as management consultants, working with large global businesses, and we wanted to then help more people and do so through building a software business. So our first one was Spidergap, and the purpose of Spidergap is all about supporting employee development. Both myself and Paddy, and now our whole team, which is a globally remote one, are really passionate about personal development. I'm a big believer that your personal happiness, a big part of that comes from growth. It comes from continuously learning and developing. And so that was really the momentum behind Spidergap, was about how do we support people in prioritizing where they should be developed so that they're always finding areas in which they can improve and continually taking action on that in a way that benefits the organization as well. And so we developed Spidergap as a 360-degree feedback tool. It's now used by hundreds of organizations around the world, including well-known ones like 3M and Pepsi and Swarovski and Fitness First and Sony and so on. And what I think they love about it is that particularly the report makes it really easy for an employee to understand and identify where are their top areas to improve, what are the strengths they can play to, but also what are the areas to improve. And we use our number one core value, which is focus on impact, to make sure that it's really clear on what you're actually going to do and help the employee to take action on that. So that was always the background of Spidergap, and we've now helped many tens, probably into the hundreds of thousands of employees now, to help them prioritize their personal development based on the feedback of others. But it was interesting through building Spidergap as our own software business. One of the experiences that we had was getting stuck in the business and struggling to delegate and struggling to get results in the areas that we needed to, and around things like with the software development, making sure that you've got error-free releases that go onto the site so that you don't end up losing your weekend to having to do bug fixing and rollbacks and all these sorts of things, but also making sure that we could scale sales and customer support, and that I could pass finance and HR activities over and so on. And so we explored various ways to do this, particularly based on my own experience as a process consultant working with big corporates many years ago. But we just found that a lot of the ways in which it was common to do it, creating documentation, was really slow, and particularly when you give it to someone to use, it's clunky. It's you give someone like 100-page Word document. It's a terrifying thing of like, this is how to do a thing. This is how to do your job. And it's not easy to follow. So they might read through it. They might sort of learn a bit of it, but they're probably not going to refer to it every time they do a series of tasks. And even if they're doing something that they don't do that often, like a quarterly tax return or whatever, you kind of want them to be able to use it actively and track their progress and so on. And so when we looked at various tools for doing it, and we used a ton, we found that some were okay, but they weren't fast. And particularly, we found that when you wanted to make improvements, it was slow. So if someone identifies, oh, this particular step in the process is really like clunky or causes me a problem, or I've missed something, and they want to make a quick change so they never make that mistake in future, you want them to be able to quickly click edit, make the change, publish, done. And that's what you can do in AirManual, but you couldn't do in other tools. It would take 30 seconds to a minute, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the behavior that we saw meant that we'd see employees happily going through their process, see the issue, think, oh, I must make an improvement, but they know that it's going to take a minute and that's going to slow them down. And maybe they're in a conversation with an employee, another team member. So they go, oh, I'll remember it for next time. And then you've got two problems. One, it gets forgotten, but even if it does get remembered, like that's only in their head and not in the documentation. And so it means when they leave, they take that knowledge with them, and you have to restart that learning from scratch. So that's what we built AirManual to solve that problem, and have now been working with loads of fantastic organizations to achieve great results, including things like Save Their Sundays, which is what we were talking about in your case before the break.
Very impressive, the global brands that you're working with. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So for the smaller entrepreneur, do you work with them as well, or just with the large brands?
Yeah, one of the nice things for me is that, when I was literally, I don't know, 12, 13 years old, I was always passionate about entrepreneurship. And I started up little startup businesses, washing people's cars and sweeping drives and doing a newsletter, and then a bit later building websites and having online, banner ads and all this kind of stuff. But was never able to kind of grow the business outside of me. And so that's why I kind of went into that more corporate-y world as a consultant, to learn how does that work. But my passion has always been for helping business leaders, but particularly entrepreneurs, small business owners, because I've seen firsthand, both myself, but actually with my family, and particularly my mum, who's got amazing business that she's built over the last 35 years. But I've seen how hard that can be sometimes, and what that can mean for lost holidays and not doing things in the evenings and weekend, and working weekends and things. And so I'm super passionate about helping that group of people to really free themselves up and to achieve the goals that they set out to do in the first place. I love working with large companies, and particularly certain companies, where they've got really passionate people. Like, I always love working with the teams at Sony PlayStation, for example, are super passionate, always looking to improve. And so those are my kind of people. Like, anyone who's passionate and looking to improve, we're going to get on well. But the difference perhaps is that, whereas in the corporate world, you might be helping teams of people to enjoy the journey more, to not be working all hours and so on. And that does happen. But with a business owner, it's often they're doing all those things and not getting paid very well. At least in the corporate world, yes, they might be working crazy hours and having to have calls with teams at different time zones and all these kind of things. But at least they get paid well. Whereas often for business owners, they're paid less than even their lower paid employees. And so I think that's a shame and shouldn't be the case. And so that's why I love really working in this space, helping business owners to free up their time, enjoy work more, grow, improve the performance and so on. It's so rewarding. Like I say, before the break, we were talking about how we could save your Sunday by documenting just one or two processes, which, by the way, happily help you to do for free. You can get access to my consultants, and we'll help you do that, because saving your Sundays would be a really great warming thing to do. But we've helped people be able to take their first holiday in 5 years. Where you've got husband wife couples that run the business and aren't able to step out of the business. We've helped people switch from 100-hour weeks and on the cusp of burnout to being able to work normal hours. We've helped people be able to grow their teams from one-man bands to 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people. We've helped people who've got businesses of 10 people, but the client experience is poor and they're worried that they're going to lose the business as a result. And we've helped them to address that. Or in one case, there was a pharmacy that we worked with where they'd recently failed a particular sort of audit because they weren't doing things the right way. We helped them document their processes so that everyone was doing things the right way. And so they recently passed the audit, which means that the business can continue to exist. That's a pretty amazing thing to achieve as a relatively small business in ourselves.
That is fantastic. Congratulations on that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it's what I love.
I will definitely take you up on that. I would love to work with someone on your team. That's fabulous. And I have both of your websites pulled up. Would you like me to walk through any of them? Either of them?
Yeah, sure. I think let's. I think for people listening, I think, and particularly given what we've talked about, let's take a look at AirManual.
Okay, let's take a look. All right, so I'm over here on the website. Just let me know where I should go.
Yeah, sure. So you can see that we're all about helping businesses to move faster, whether that means freeing up your time or being able to bring people in and get them up to speed faster, or being able to just be more efficient with your processes. And you can kind of get a sense from the little image there about quite how simple we make it. And in fact, there's a couple of things that I'll perhaps quickly highlight. So one is at the top, if you click on resources, you'll see that we've now made available a free guide on how to set up more effective team process management and role onboarding. So if you are looking to improve the ways in which you do this organization, I highly recommend go and get this. It's free. You can go through it, follow the process. We give you exactly how you need to do it. And if you'd like support in then implementing it, because sometimes knowing and doing are different, then of course reach out. But otherwise, you've got a fantastic guide there that can help you through doing it. I guess the other thing that I could probably show is if you click on a product at the top. And then if you scroll down, let's go right down to the bottom and click on, because what I want to show you is perhaps a little example. So if you go right down to the bottom, there you go. You can see you can arrange times. If you click on, so if you go right down to the bottom, you can see under examples and templates. If we click an area there, like if you just click on something like HR, that seems to be an area that a lot of business owners find painful and often don't have a lot of processes around it, and yet it's important. So if you click on that, and it'll probably open a new tab, so you might need to switch over sharing so that we can see that. But what this will show you is that because we've got examples and template checklists already ready to go for you that you can then amend, copy to your into your workspace and use and edit and so on to meet your needs. And I think that's reassuring for people. So for example, you could go into one on performance management, for example. If we go into performance management and then performance reviews and coaching, and then provided performance review and coaching, let's say third one down, yeah, and this is all searchable and so on. So you can see here is a ready-made checklist for a manager in your business to provide a performance review on a member of their staff. And it goes through a series of steps, and it's all interactive. So if you scroll, and you'll see that if you scroll down, you'll see that it kind of concertinas the information. So it's not too scary. Like, you can scroll quickly down and see all of the steps. It's prepared to start the review, write and share the review, run the meeting, follow up. Great. But then you'll see within those, there's then subtasks. So you could open up, write and share, and then you could see like review the available information. If you expand that, it'll show you what information you should be reviewing when you're preparing for a performance review. And I think that's the power, is rather than giving someone a 100-page Word document that's scary and not interactive and not easy to edit and so on, instead you can give someone, like in this case a manager, a really easy checklist to follow. And we're in a template space, so you'll see at the top right, you can click like copy to my workspace if you had one. But if once it's in your workspace, you'd be able to use this checklist so that when you click on like next and done and so on the steps, it would tick it off and you'd be able to see and track progress. And so I love this because it means that, I can see the interaction. I can see people following the process, and whether they're skipping steps, where they're going to start. And so, I highly recommend people arrange a call with the team to get a demo, or you can check out more on the website, where you'll see lots of other examples. And we've got there's a video on the site as well that kind of shows a bit of the tool. But I think I really encourage people to have a call with a consultant. It's free, but B, the feedback that we get on those calls is amazing, partly because people just really value having someone that helps you get super clear on where you actually need to start. I think that's the terrifying thing. Like in your case, you've done a brilliant job where you kind of just go, oh, this is what's causing me most pain. I'm spending like all of my Sunday doing the schedule. But for a lot of business owners, they don't know where to start, and it feels like such a big uphill battle to even start doing this. And yet often a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, will save you weeks and weeks and weeks. And so I think it's worth getting that kind of support. And I'm very happy that we're able to provide that through some calls with well-trained consultants who have now done this with lots of other organizations for free. So you can go to airmanual.co and arrange a call. But I love the results that we can achieve for people, and how simple it can be made.
You really have a streamlined process. When does the billing start? If someone says, okay, I'm going to do the free things, but I really need more support. Talk to us through that.
Yeah, so we provide a 2-week free trial so that people can try out the tool and get a sense for whether it's going to be a really good fit for them. We also provide some initial free support via the initial calls, and sometimes we'll have a couple of extra calls if needed to help prove the value, because our aim is to help that leader to go, I can see exactly how this is going to add value in the business. And then they've got a choice. Either they can just use the tool and build processes themselves, and that's fine. And the pricing starts off really reasonable. It's like you can get started from as little as like $59 a month, and just use the tool and build the processes and have your team using it too. Or we do provide consulting support options where we can either do it as done with you or done for you, depending on how much support you want, and depending on the scope of the project. It kind of varies, but you're talking a few $1,000s. It's not crazy amounts of money to document whole process areas and save yourself days and days of time. And it's like today I was with one of our consultants. I was reviewing a proposal she'd put together for helping a particular client that we'd actually already done some consulting work for, and they wanted us to do some more. And in that one project, which will work out as like about $5,000, that one project, we're going to completely break out and define their roles and responsibilities across all of the operations area, which is kind of now a combination of sales and finance and all these sorts of areas, and it needs breaking out, but then help them document the end-to-end client journey at a high level, and then help them identify what the placeholders and help them in that journey, so that by the end of all of that, they will have sorted out a process, reduced all the dropped balls between the different team members, got it much clearer over who's responsible for what, and made their whole business more efficient, including their most valuable resources in sales, operations, and project management. And so it's just, and we'll do that through a series of calls with them, their team, and our consultant to get all of that mapped out. And so what's nice is that means that for the client, they essentially get to spend sort of 6 hours of time doing that, and over a period of time, so that, they're able to flex it around the rest of their time, and yet out of the end of it, they save themselves that per week going forward, right? Because of how much efficiency we can drive out of the process typically.
My mind is racing, thinking of all the projects that you can help me streamline. Maybe look at Saturday and Sunday back. Yay!
I'd love to do that. Yes, please.
So we are actually at the end of our show, and I'd love to have you come back because there's so much more to chat about. But for right now, people want to reach out. They want to work with you. What's the best way to contact you, and who should reach out?
Yeah, sure. So I'd recommend, for any business leader, any business owner who's looking to free up their time, to reduce mistakes, get new joiners up to speed more quickly, you can go to airmanual.co. You can arrange a call with one of our consultants and just explore, see whether we're a good fit for you. If not, then fine, and you'll learn that but more often than not, you'll come away with some really good insights on where you need to start. So I highly recommend that. Otherwise, do check out the resources page on our website. We've got an ebook there at the moment, but there's other resources that are dropping regularly and going in there. You can sign up for a free trial. But also feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on most social media platforms. I'm particularly active on LinkedIn, so reach out to me. I'm Alexis Kingsbury. There aren't many of us, and particularly certainly there's only one that owns Spidergap and AirManual. So find me on social media, LinkedIn, and reach out. And feel free to email me, alexis.kingsbury@airmanual.ca. I'd love to hear from people who this has been useful, or it's helped them to make that shift, make that change, and actually take the step to sharpen the saw, to break out from working in the business, work on the business, and as a result free up their time and go move their business more quickly.
You will definitely be hearing from me. So,
yes.
Thank you so much, and I will be sending people your way. I know there are a number of people who would love to work with you. So great job, and I wish you continued success, especially on your tour.
Fantastic. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, it's having a great time. I'll go and spend some time with the wife and kids now, but it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and looking forward to working with you.
I'm looking forward to working with you as well, and I'd love for you to book in on our business show. That's on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern time, so 7 p.m. British Summer Time. I'd love to introduce you to my co-host Alcini. So good. I look forward to chatting with you very soon.
Me too.
All right. Thanks again. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you to each and every one of you who are watching or listening, whether it's on the live or the replay. Please do reach out to Alexis. This is game changing. I am thinking to myself, all the things I can be doing on Saturday or Sunday and taking back time that I have been giving away because I'm behind this green screen or sitting at this desk. So I hope that you will reach out to him. And if you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, please go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our next show is coming up. It's The Power of Etiquette and Manners. And today we're going to be talking all about style and fashion and your wardrobe. So stay with us. We'll be back momentarily. Thank you so much to Alexis, and thank you to all of you. Bye.